Process Planning Steering Committee. And one of the things that came out, one message that came out prevalently throughout that process was that the residents of this town want the A&W back. And I'm very disappointed that there hasn't been any assistance from the business community or grassroots level. However, I am disappointed to hear that a councilman is suggesting that block by block is possibly an option to use, again, our tax money to buy a business and to rehab. I am tired of seeing millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of our tax dollars going to nonprofits when there are so many people that are still homeless and still have bills to pay. I spent every single dime of my disaster assistance, right on down from my FEMA to my sewer backup to my Jumpstart down payment on the down payment of assistance on my house. And, you know, I have had double utility bills, no assistance with that. The Greater Cedar Rapids Foundation claimed in the beginning that they give direct assistance to flood owners. Finally, through many flood victims complaining about this, in a city council meeting, they finally changed it on the website. They give indirect assistance. They give it to nonprofits. The only assistance I ever got from all the millions of dollars from the Greater Cedar Rapids Foundation is I did get help twice this winter with utility bills, and that's it. I wanted, no offense, and I don't mean to put Mayor, you on the spot, but back on October 14th, the old council voted to give $3 million of our local option sales tax obligated to block by block. And I have a text here from the mayor at that time, sorry I can't be at the meeting, the lost money needs to go directly to flood victims. I have had complaints, many people have had complaints of the poor construction that's being done by block. We have a union leader right here, Dave Hogan. I'm sorry, you guys do excellent work, and I think we need to get skilled labor in those homes, because when they are put together poorly, it's bringing our property values down, which is the opposite of what we want done in those neighborhoods. If you want to find out, you can do the research on your own. However, after Affordable Housing Network gets $6.5 million from iJobs and a $6.5 million match from the county bond for apartments, which I just found out last night through research, Hawthorne Hills, he didn't even own it at the time, but he was getting $13 million to rehab that along with Cedar Valley. Block by Block's gotten $1.1 million for iJobs and $1.2 million from the Greater Cedar Rapids Foundation. $4.25 million basically is obligated from our lost funds. They are getting private donations right and left. And I think it's time that the direction for recovery comes to the individuals and not to the nonprofits. And I just want to say, okay, I just had a brain fart. I just want to say, no, this is a statement. This is a statement. This is a statement. This is a statement. And this is going to be a question if you let me finish, Tony. Be respectful. Thank you. I want to see the A&W come back, and I think we can come up with some creative methods. But what I want to ask the council is, when are you going to support the local option sales tax going to individuals and stop giving them to nonprofits who have all kinds of opportunities to get millions of dollars when we are fighting for every dime?
First thing I'd like to do is to address Ms. Kuzela that I'm sure, sorry, you're disappointed in a council member going out and walking the neighborhood. I'm sure sorry that you think, you said you wanted to have the A&W reopened. I want to get the A&W reopened. You do the same thing at council meetings that you just did here. You hear what you want to hear, and then you report back to the entire world what you thought you heard. Now, doggone it, that's not fair to any of us. And in this specific case, all I said was, we'd like to get the A&W open. Maybe it could be a nonprofit. I never said block by block. You decided, oh no, he's going to give it to block by block. Doggone it, quit doing those kind of things. Yeah. And I will clarify one more thing since it was brought up. I was one of those in October that voted on that $3 million, and it wasn't specifically for block by block. Block by Block happens to be one of the organizations. Any organization that wants to do something to help revitalize the neighborhood can go apply for that money. Now, as far as the lost dollars, $3 million, not millions and millions and millions, as far as the public money we have, they're a private organization. That $3 million for any organization that would get together to revitalize, not just block by block. If they're the only ones that are applying for it, fine. But I will clarify again, what that $3 million goes for, it is to help cover a rehabilitation gap. If they buy a home after they've rehabilitated, the money they get always comes after the home is rehabilitated, and it must be an owner-occupied home, not a rental. So money isn't being funneled to block by block. Unfortunately, we have some individuals in this area that are so against certain organizations that if those organizations are part of something helping revitalize this area, they will spitefully attack them at every chance they get, and very bluntly, I'm getting tired of hearing about it. I'm just going to add one more thing. And Dave, I don't want to pick on you, but, you know, there are hundreds and hundreds of volunteer hours going into those block-by-block homes. Now, doggone it, somebody who wants to... I thought every block-by-block refurbished home that I went into was a lot better than it was before the flood. Now, maybe it's not perfect. Maybe there's a door that needs something taken off the bottom. Somebody told me, yeah, I went into one and the door didn't open all the way. Okay, let's go back and plane the bottom of the door off. But for heaven's sakes, when we have the hundreds of hours that are being volunteered over there, I don't think we ought to be saying, let's run out all the volunteers and let's then have to spend a ton more money to pay everybody to go work on them. Not fair.
Thank you.
I think you need to have Dave say something because there was more to it.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you, I respect you as a councilman, but your opinion right there, I can take you to a house. It wasn't just a door. It was a shame. That house will be reoccupied by the owner. It shouldn't be. It passed inspection. It shouldn't have. The mayor's seen it. Don Carr has seen it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's a good question. But I'm not against block by block, but anyways, I'm not against the volunteers. Okay, I'm not here for that reason. What we need are contractors in there working with those people to make sure they're doing it by code and doing it the way it should be done. That's what we need. And that's all I've said throughout this whole thing. We need contractors in there to supervise what's being done by these young kids and young volunteers. That's all I've said.
We were out of cards. No, you stand in line like everybody else.
I just asked one question. The one question is, can we be a little bit more like the Butte? I had someone who was flooded. I had brand new windows put in my house just before the flood. I opened my windows when the flood came so the water would flow through. Weather stripping, felt, everything's in perfect condition. The windows would fit in their home. I offered to take them out. I offered to give them to them, save them about $3,000. I was informed by ProSource, if I take those windows out, I'm changing the value of my house. Even if I'm giving them away free, they'll deduct the $3,000 from my buyout. Why can't we, a lot of our homes over there, people were rebuilding them like crazy. Upstairs, there's usable doors. There's usable closet doors. There's usable windows. Why can't we quit putting this stuff in the dump? Kind of take some of it apart. Hell, put a free sign out front, and if somebody wants it, let them take it and reuse it.
Anybody like to address that?
Well, I was going to address Lisa's question about the local option sales tax and making sure that it goes to the flood victims. Last year, the tax was put on right about the March-April timeframe, so we're 1 year into it, and the City Council did appropriate about $3.5 million or so. $3 million at the end of the year was October, just before the election. Since that time, we have approved for people from a buyout that had flood insurance to help reimburse them for flood insurance. We've done appraisals for individuals, obviously acquisitions, and I think we're going to be spending more money on acquisitions based on some continued discussions and rulings from HUD. There are people that are in a situation from the Jumpstart down payment assistance that people signed up for because it was a 5-year forgivable loan, and as they're going through the process, HUD is requiring, along with the DED, a recapturing of that money, which obviously everyone that took it was a loan and didn't think it was going to be recaptured through the buyout. So we've been arguing that it's two different programs. One's a voluntary buyout program, the other was assistance to get a new house. In the event that we lose all of our arguments with HUD, then our goal would be to use the local option sales tax in these cases to make sure that people are giving the full value of their home, where their Jumpstart isn't being recaptured from that.
Next person.
Hi, this is to the previous council members. And this is concerning the open houses that you invited the entire city to come in and make comments and approve this, approve that, and see if they like that, like this. I'm actually was quite offended by you inviting the whole city to decide the West Side neighborhood plans and what they thought, what other parts of the city thought our neighborhoods should be like. I don't understand that. In fact, I don't understand why the whole city wasn't invited here tonight. Wouldn't it have been the same thing?
Tax dollars.
It wasn't open to the city. It was in the paper advertising. It was open to everybody, so the whole city was basically invited here tonight.
Then we ask the questions. Wasn't for us, the neighbor.
Everyone in the city was invited to the neighborhood revitalization program, and I know that we're dealing with flooded areas, and I know, but you know, it really was other things in the city. If you look at those neighborhood revitalization things we had, there are problems throughout the city. Yes, the major areas we've been dealing with for 2 years have been the flooded areas for obvious reasons. But we are hoping to revitalize a question that came up earlier. What about nuisance or abandoned properties? There are things like this that were addressed during those meetings. What do you want? What do you want neighborhoods to look like?
It was basically specifically our neighborhood.
Where's Whitey? Where's Whitey? He's had enough questions.
You have a good point. And you know, after the fact, now I don't have an answer. I never looked at it the way you did, and I apologize. I was looking we could get as much input as we could, and I didn't look at it that way, and for my way, I would apologize. And I think that's a point, but if we would have had it just for the flooded neighborhoods, how many of the folks would, I don't know.
I remember one time, you guys, the leaders, the hockey and those guys, and that's another question, saying, Sasaki professionals, should they have known that this plan was not going to pass the core muster? I mean, really, if they're so, if they're the consultants, and they've worked on these projects before, wouldn't they have known?
The consultant's job was what would we come up with to protect these flooded neighborhoods? That's what their job was.
More like a plan to benefit you.
The consultant's job was to help the city, the Corps was involved in everything, come up with a flood protection plan. That was the job they were hired for.
What happened to the interim flood? That got flood protection.
Those are other things that come in, that's part of the whole city, Rick. I mean,
I want to reiterate what Dave Hogan was saying. I'm in construction. I'm an electrician by trade, so I know a lot of the building codes. I'm just a little disappointed. I was invited to the house in question. When you go to a house and you open up a door and it only opens up halfway, and then you go down and you look underneath and they jack up the floors. There's dry rotted timbers and there's wood underneath supports. That does disappoint me because these houses are going to get sold to somebody. And guess who's going to have to take care of that? The people that get it. I know Chuck's a contractor too. He knows that. And all the city council knows how important that is. Don was a contractor. I don't want to see people get taken. I've seen plumbing joints that weren't included. I mean, that's crazy.
How do they pass inspection?
They're not,
I mean, cause
I rehabbed mine. I don't know if the inspectors are that busy. I know we got a good team of inspectors. I can't answer Chuck's question. If the house is in better shape now than it was before, yeah, maybe it is. But we still have to follow building codes. If you don't have building codes, you just as well invite the city fire chief and the police department and everything else out for an emergency, because it's going to happen. That's all I got to say.
I was down there Sunday, and I own the Affordable Plumbing and Remodeling, so I'm a remodeling contractor. There were some serious things wrong with this house. You don't support these beams with wood shims on concrete because the concrete's going to sweat and rot it out, and it's just going to come down. There were other things wrong. The porch across the street was tilted back towards the house. Every time it rained, the water's going to flow into the siding. The house next door's deck wasn't attached to the house, so when winter comes, the deck and the house are going to raise at different levels of frost. They're not even getting their front door. We do have a lot of problems going on there. I don't know how they're getting it. If I did that kind of work, I wouldn't be in business. I don't know how this is happening. I'm not in charge of it. I don't know who did it. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you, there is a lot of things going down there, but we are using volunteer help. The building department does not pass quality. They pass code. That deck was put in with footings, and even though it'll raise up at different levels of the frost in the house, it's still past code because they don't do quality. That's not what they do. And just like that porch, it was done. I mean, it's going to keep the rain off you when you walk in the front door, even though it's going to roll back inside the house. It was bad quality, but it passed code. That's the problem we're having down there. It's not just the city inspectors. It's passing code. It's just really bad quality work. And I could take you down there myself and show you dozens and dozens of things like this that are going on. I drive through there every day. It's sad, but you know what? We got volunteer help. I don't know what else we can do. I don't know how else to do this. I will tell you one other thing. We have two contractors going down there, Hannah Plumbing and Foster's. They're good companies. They do good quality work. The trouble is, they're from Marion. We have Galena Plumbing, Hewitt Plumbing, Crawl Plumbing, Novak Heating, Illitate Heating, and Affordable Plumbing that my daughters own now. And they're all starving to death and were flooded out and destroyed by the flood, and they're hiring Marion contractors to do the friggin' work. Now what the heck is that? We can't even give these people flood money and have them hire flooding contractors to do the work to help them.